Hello out there, and today we have something interesting and surprising to talk about because today we have a fake Spyderco. And no, it's not the one in front of you, so don't worry about that. It's not this knife. This is the Paramilitary 2 in CPM M4 from Blade HQ. It is the real deal. The one that is fake, though, it's even more of a surprise to me than any PM2 would be because I didn't know that there were counterfeits of this model. And it is the Tenacious. And this is a knife, a pretty old beat up knife that I got used, and I got it online, I think as part of like an eBay auction with a bunch of other knives, and this was in the group of knives that I bought. And I bought this basically for parts because it was missing a screw that I ended up replacing with the wrong screw. And, you know, it seemed really old and beat up, and I thought I might be able to use the hardware or the washers or maybe do some kind of mod on it in the future. And it just sat around for, you know, months and months and months and never got any use. And then my buddy, the Lawn Ranger, asked me if I had an extra Tenacious. He was looking for one for some parts. And I sent him this knife, and he got back to me and told me that it was fake. And I was shocked. And as soon as he started sending me pictures of this knife versus a real one, I immediately was able to see that, yeah, he's 100% right. This is a counterfeit Tenacious. Didn't know that these were being made, didn't know that this was a thing. But the big way to tell, there were two ways that he was able to notice it, and that, you know, I was definitely able to be convinced. And one of them was in the actual font right here. If you're familiar with the Spyderco font, you might already be able to see that, like, this is it's just not quite right. The only other Tenacious that I currently have, and I've had probably about 4 or 5 of them in the past, but the only one that I currently have is another one that the Lawn Ranger actually modified for me. And he did like a copper wash on this blade, so you might not be able to see the font that well, but I will insert a picture and I will put these next to each other. You can probably see that it is different, but that Spyderco font has been pretty consistent on the Tenacious ones, the real ones that I've seen. But then the big thing is with the pocket clip screws. So even though the clips both look like real Spyderco clips, if you look at the screws, you know, we have the Torx screws that Spyderco always uses. They're rounded on the clip and then recessed and like basically flat on the actual scales. And I'm not sure if all of them on all Tenacious variations are flat, so I'm not really going to speak to that. But if you look at this clip, I mean, you have the rounded screws, sure, but you have full-on, like, star pattern. Look at that. So, I mean, that is, like, nothing that Spyderco, and actually on the pivot as well, look at that. That's nothing that Spyderco has ever actually done. And, yeah, it wasn't something I paid attention to when I picked the knife up, so I wasn't really worried about it. But yeah, when the Lawn Ranger showed me, I definitely had to concede that he was right, because 100% this is not a real Tenacious, and it's crazy. It's just crazy that this you know, this budget of a knife is being, you know, faked. But I guess it makes sense because these things sell at $40, and I'm sure the cost of manufacturing is very inexpensive, and so whatever group is making these fake ones, they can probably still make a ton of money on these. And I've got to say, I mean, you know, I've made videos about fake knives, counterfeits before, and some of the counterfeits that I had were just pieces of crap, like absolute trash. Either the ones that just had a stamp and weren't a copy of any specific design, or even the ones that were copies of like set designs, like the Benchmade 940-1 that I had. That knife was not well made at all. I know people say that there are counterfeit 940-1s that are very well made, but the one that I had was garbage. Not just in principle, but in actual manufacturing quality. This knife, though, isn't. I mean, I was fooled because It feels like a Tenacious. It looks like a Tenacious. It feels in hand like a Tenacious. The G10, I think, was slightly different. And again, you might have already seen this in pictures that I've inserted. And if not, I'll insert more just from what the Lawn Ranger sends me of his. But the G10 was slightly different. But again, if you don't have two next to each other, you might never notice it. And the G10 here is actually good. You know, the fit and finish is good. The lockup is really good. The action is pretty darn smooth. So yeah, I mean, it would be very easy to fall for this sort of thing. So if you care about that kind of thing, make sure you do your due diligence when you are checking out aftermarket purchases, even on budget blades like this, because it can happen. Sorry, we're just completely out of focus. There we are. Yeah, because it can happen. And yeah, I'm just really thankful to the Lawn Ranger for spotting that so that I can sort of forward that all along to you. I'm not sure how common this knowledge is that this is going on. I don't really have my finger on the pulse of the counterfeit / clone community and all that kind of thing. I don't follow it and pay attention to it too much. But I'm guessing that there will probably be a number of people who watch and see this who are surprised. So yeah, any other information that I can give you, let me know down below. I'll try to answer any questions. But any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, as always, you know where to reach me. Appreciate you watching, guys. Thank you, and take care. Have a good one.